Welcome everyone to the Montessori Family Life webinar series. Today, I am so excited because I get to do one of my favorite things of the year, which is an interview session with our Newgate School seniors. They will be graduating in, I think, 2 weeks, maybe, and they have worked hard to get to where they are, and they have lots of things to share with us about their Montessori experience. I'm so honored and privileged to be able to listen to these folks and to hear what they have to say about their experiences in Montessori. And I think that you as an audience will get a lot out of this as well, because these young people are inspiring. They give me hope. They create joy in the world. So this is a good thing. What we're going to do first to get started is we're going to introduce ourselves. And I'll start. Most of you that are out there and that are watching know me. I'm the host every week on our weekly webinars. My name is Lorna McGrath. I work at the Montessori Foundation, and I am the program director for the Montessori Family Alliance. And I wasn't supposed to say all that, but I did. And I have been in Montessori education for 43 years. So, Andres, can you start us off?
So I'm Andres, and I've been at Newgate for 2 years now.
Okay. And is Newgate the only Montessori school you've ever been to?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. And Daniel, can you go next?
Hi, I'm Daniel. I've been at Newgate for 8 years, but I've done almost all of my education in a Montessori school.
Right. Was the Montessori school where you went before Newgate in the United States or in Venezuela?
It was in Venezuela.
Okay, thank you. All right, now this is Ren. Hi, Ren.
Hi, so I'm Ren and I've been in Montessori for 2 years.
Okay, Ren, before you went to Montessori, what kind of a school did you go to?
I've been in several different schooling environments, public school, like a charter school, and I've also been homeschooled.
Okay, wow, nice variety. All right, Nick, you're next.
Hello, my name is Nick. I've been at Newgate for about 7 years, I believe.
Mm-hmm. And before Newgate, you went to a private school here in Sarasota, right?
A few. I bounced around between ODA and a couple of Catholic schools.
Okay, tried them all out, right?
Yeah, why not?
Thanks, Nick. Okay, Coy, how about you?
Hello, I am Coy. I've been at Newgate for almost for 16 years.
Yes, you have. Yes, and I've known you that whole time. Coy, you have an echo going, or I do.
Oh, I do? Okay.
Yeah. Okay. All right, he's muted himself, I think. Yeah, he did. Okay, thanks, Coy. Martin, next.
Hello, I'm Martin, and I have been in Newgate 3 years.
Beautiful. And Martin, have you been in Sarasota, or are you in different location?
Different location. I'm from Czech Republic, from Europe. So I'm studying here 3 years in Newgate.
Nice. Welcome. We're glad you've been here. All right. And then we have Micah.
I'm Micah. I've been at Newgate for 3 years, although I've been in Montessori for 5 years.
Okay. And the other Montessori school where you went, was that in the United States or somewhere else?
Yes, it was in the United States.
Okay, terrific. Thank you. And then we have Tree.
As you said, my name is Trey. This is my 3rd year at Newgate. It's also my 3rd year of Montessori. Previously, I was studying at Catholic school in Iowa, and then before that, I was still living in Vietnam, studying normally.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Glad you're here, Jackson.
Hi, my name is Jackson. I have been at Newgate for 12 years, I think, since I was 5. Yeah.
Yeah, that's quite a few years, actually. I didn't realize you were 5 when we started. Wow.
Yeah.
Whew. Okay, well, thank you. And then we have Colin.
I've been going to Montessori for 4 years.
Okay, Colin. What type of school did you go to before Newgate?
I've been to public schools, private schools. I was homeschooled, so I've just kind of been all over the board.
Variety. Okay. That's, they say variety is the spice of life. And some of you seem like you've been spicing around in your schools. Okay, Selvi.
Hi, my name is Selvi, and I have been at Newgate for 4.5 years.
Great. Okay, I'm not even going to ask you where you went before. All right, so that's our crew for today, and we are ready to go. What I'm going to do is I'm going to ask the first question, and if you would like to answer or give your response, just either put your hand up, your real hand, or you can put the hand up that's on the computer, and we'll acknowledge you and let you say what you want to say. Remember, there are quite a few of us, so your answers need to be relatively brief, but we want you also to be able to say what you want to say. So our first question today is about being in Montessori school, and we just talked about that a few minutes ago as to how long you've been here. Some of you have been here for 16 years, some of you as few as 2 years. So what in the years that you have been in Montessori, whether it's Newgate or whether it was another Montessori school, what really has been your most important takeaway from your Montessori experience? What do you feel like is the most important thing that you got out of this Montessori piece of your education that maybe you might not have gotten if you went to some other school? And for some of you, that you'll have to use your imagination because you've only been to Montessori school. So, and for others of you, firsthand that there are certain things that you get in Montessori that you don't get at other places. And Jackson is ready to go. So we're going to ask him to start us off.
All right. So I guess being at a Montessori school for like the vast majority of my life, I feel like something big that's really encouraged is like creativity. I know like for a lot of my school projects, my teachers just sort of let me go crazy, which I really enjoy because I get to make like crazy like short films or stop motion projects or anything like that. And the teachers are cool with it as long as it like, relates to what we're studying. So I really enjoy that.
Thank you. That's great. So creativity is something that we do a lot with in Montessori. We allow students to be creative and to think outside of the box and that sort of thing. Somebody else, Colin? No, it's not Colin. Is it Colin? No, it is my friend Martin, my new friend Martin. That's why I got the wrong name. Sorry, Martin. And then we'll go to Colin.
I would like to say that in Newgate Montessori, it is very like a special school because when I was in Czech, we don't have in the school like service learning, cooking lessons to make a food. So that brings me in this school very new things and special things in this school, and I learn how to cook, how to do a service learning outside. So it brings me these things, and I really appreciate it.
Thank you. I'm glad that you brought that up because I was a high school teacher in public school years and years ago. And one of the things that I felt was missing were those kinds of experiences that you've just mentioned, the real sort of hands-on, you can do these things rather than just getting a book and studying out of a book. So that's very important to what we do. Thank you. All right, Colin, you were next, I think.
About Montessori that I think has really helped me is I feel like it's very good at teaching you how to interact with others, because for as long as I can remember, I've always been more of a follower. And when I got to Newgate, I was still somewhat of a follower, but it didn't work as well as it did before. And this happened with friendships and projects, and it wasn't as it was when I started to kind of break out of my shell and remove myself from a follower position that I start to, do better on projects or make more friends. So I feel like Montessori has been very helpful in that way.
And that's a good point also, Colin. In Montessori, we want all children, all students to have that experience of being leaders as well as followers. Now, for some people, that's going to be more comfortable than others. For some, they'll continue to be leaders. Some will follow more. Depends on personality and maybe even what you're attempting to do. So, but it's important for everyone to experience that idea and that feeling of being a leader and being, able to help others to accomplish things. Anybody else want to answer that one? Okay. All right. We'll go on to the second question. We'll see if we get some different answers or different people answering. The second question is about friendship, and this is important to parents. Parents think that when children get to high school, they need to have an enormous amount of peers to interact with. So that's a lot of times why parents will choose to put them into a larger school, like a public school or, a larger private school, is because they want them to have more peers to interact with. And no doubt, friendship is important and social interactions are important at the high school level and even at the younger children's level. But parents don't seem to worry about it too much when children are little, when they're 3 and 4 and 5, or when they're in elementary school, but they start to think about it a lot more when children are in high school. So I want to ask you all, what has been your experience and your opportunities? Have you had opportunities for close and lasting friendships in this school that you're in or other Montessori schools? And then we can go on to the second part, which is how has social distancing and virtual classrooms affected your friendships during the last few years? So Andres.
So I just want to preface this with, I'm extremely critical, but I will be the first to tell you that Newgate is amazing for creating lasting friendships. So I can say I showed up here 2 years ago during 100% virtual learning, and I befriended almost everyone in my class. Just bam, I fit in immediately. Sometimes my teachers forget that I've only been here for 2 years because I fit in so well. And I see some of these people every single day, weekends, every single day. I am with some of these people. And this is something that I've never had before. I've never fit into a group, been included so quickly, and have had like this level of friendships. So, I mean, I came here during distance learning, and the environment that we were in, this small environment, it really helped me push through that, and create friendships, despite being over Zoom.
That's terrific. Thank you, Andres. Someone else? Yeah. Oh boy, here I go. Martin.
Yeah, like Andre said, the Newgate Montessori is cool to make a friendship with everyone. It is small environment, and the Newgate Montessori, it's like family. We see every single day same people. It is small school, so it's like going to house and see the people same time. So it's a very good experience in Newgate. Other than in public school, there are tons of people, and we cannot meet them. But in Montessori, we meet with everyone person.
Thank you. So yeah, sometimes when you're in an environment that has, let's say, 1,000 kids, how many of those are really going to end up being your, real friends and people that you really know and spend time with? And it's an interesting situation. Yeah, I'm going to say Daniel.
Yeah, I think one of the really interesting things about Newgate is because it's such a small environment, and because you have just a small group of classmates, it kind of has this, it kind of forces you to make friends with people that you might normally not make friends with, which is actually a really cool experience. So there's a lot of people here that had I been in a larger school, I probably would have never met and probably would have never interacted with, because we don't have that many shared interests. But after spending a lot of time with them, we started to grow interest together and realize that we did have a lot of things in common, and it became very nice friendships.
Thank you. That's a good insight. Someone else that hasn't talked yet, somebody who has been quiet. I'm gonna pick a volunteer here. Selby, how about you? What do you think about friendships in Newgate School?
Well, at Newgate, being here for 4 years and previously, coming from a public school, I would say that, being able to be with, 11 kids my entire, 4 years has been, monumental for my transformation, I guess. And I feel like here you get to make deeper connections that you wouldn't have made in a public school, just having so many other peers, you wouldn't have made such a deep connection and like being able to know them as well as in a public school. So I would say that that's one of the pluses. And also in a Montessori education, you have your work is based on collaboration, and so you're able to also make connections with them on an academic level.
Nice, very nice. Is there anybody who feels like they really missed something by not being in a larger school that has maybe some different kinds of activities than what you've been able to have in your Montessori school? For example, a football team or a prom or something like that. Jackson?
Yeah, I definitely think that that's one thing that I do sort of wish Montessori or like smaller these sort of schools have, because a lot of the times there aren't enough kids interested in anything to have those sorts of clubs. But I mean, I still think that at least with my experience at Newgate, they still encourage you to do that sort of stuff outside of school, and sometimes even give you class time to go out and do extracurricular things.
Thank you. Tree.
I mean, well, two things. Like first, like the school very much encouraged us creating clubs. Like for example, like I know that a few of us has did find like a math club. Like it's very easy. Like the process took less than a month. Like very simple. Not only that, like you don't really need those extracurricular, because the educational the not education method the system itself encourage you incorporating those things, those interests of yours into the curriculum itself.
Okay, thank you very much. All right. Anybody else want to say anything else about friendships and size of school and social activities? Andres?
I just want to hit this point home with this. So I went to a boarding school, a military boarding school, and I've created closer friends here than I have with my own roommates from boarding school, who I lived with 7 days a week, 24/7. It's just such a great environment.
Wow. And, I think that, I've been to schools all around the world, actually, Montessori schools around the world. And I think that that's really true, not just for Newgate School, but for Montessori schools in general. The students tend to collaborate. They tend to embrace all kinds of people, all others who come in and join the community. There tends to not be a real sort of cliquish type atmosphere or elitist type atmosphere in Montessori schools. So, and that's what I'm hearing from all of you. So thank you for that. Let's go to the third question. It's, how has your Montessori education prepared you for life after high school? Maria Montessori was really, really clear that education should not be preparation for university, but should be preparation for life. So what kinds of things do you think you're going to go to university or wherever you're going after you graduate? Has Montessori prepared you for besides academics? You've got a great academic background from being in Montessori, but what else have you gained that prepares you for real life out there in the world? And Martin's hand went right up, so I'm going to ask him.
like I said, the Newgate Montessori teach us new things to cook a food, to do service learning outside, to manage a garden. When we have some plants, we need to cut them. We need to have a nice garden outside when we go outside. So those things very help the students. And the Newgate Montessori teach us those things. We can make a food. So those things is very good for the future.
Absolutely. It's always a good idea to know how to cook. I agree. All right. Micah.
So I'd say that, personally for me, I've had a lot of issues for a really long time with just getting my work done and procrastinating and like discipline and all of that. But with Montessori, I feel like it's helped me in a lot of ways to kind of develop my ability to do my work and develop my discipline. Just because it's like there's a lot less structure in Montessori as opposed to public school, where it's all right, 30 minutes this class, 30 minutes this class, this assignment, this assignment, this assignment, do a bunch of writing assignment, like that kind of structure. And it's a lot of the responsibility of your work is put on you. And so, it's not entirely like a sink or swim kind of thing. Like it's not like, oh, you do it, like you have teachers that are able to help you, and you do have like your classmates are able to help you, but it's still like you have to be responsible for yourself, and you have to have the discipline in order to take control of your learning. And so that's helped me personally with a lot of issues that I've previously had.
Thank you, Micah. Coy, Nick, Ren, any of you have anything? Nick.
Since there is a lot of freedom and the encouragement for independence and in Montessori environment, it has really helped me create a better business infrastructure for myself, since I am starting or have started a business that's been going on for about 3 years now. And since there's a lot of flexibility with a Montessori schedule, it has allowed me to either incorporate that aspect into a lot of my classes, as well as just space out some free time to do more of it.
That's great. That's a really good thing, huh? Ren, how about you? We haven't heard from you at all.
I have to agree with Nick that a lot of the class projects and just the structure of lessons gives a lot of independence to the students, which is great for learning how to work on your own without like a solid set of instructions and working it out.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Anybody else want to add to that? Coy, do you want to add anything to that, or Colin?
Sure, I can add a bit to that. So although we haven't done it in a few years, I really enjoyed doing the internship week. I found that to be really, really fun, and that gave us a lot of real world experience, whether you were interning with people who you knew or didn't know, and that also prepares you for what like having a real job is, and all the responsibilities that are put on you for doing certain tasks, being on time, and all that stuff.
Great, thank you. Selvi?
Yeah, so what I wanted to talk about was just in a Montessori education, I was able to develop skills that I wouldn't have been able to in a public school setting. For example, when I first joined, I was a very shy person, didn't really like to talk as much. And through that Montessori education, I was able to do more presentations. Like Koi mentioned, the internships at the end of the week, we kind of talked to the entire school about what our mission was and what we learned from those businesses. And just being able to do more presentations throughout my life has enhanced my social skills and just ability to, present and my public speaking skills.
That's great. Thank you. Anybody else? One of the things that I have found, I'll get you, Micah, over the years is that when I hear what students have to say about internships, sometimes they come back from their internship and go, whoa, I never want to work in a restaurant. Thanks a lot. And so I think one of the benefits of doing internships is sometimes you find something that's really terrific and that you love. And other times you go to something that you think, I'm gonna like this. I'm gonna like cooking in the restaurant. Martin, that would be you. And you find out when you get into the restaurant, this is not my cup of tea. So it's a really great way for students to try things out. Because sometimes when we go off after high school, we don't know exactly what it is we want to do, or what looks interesting to us might not be exactly the right fit. So it really gives you some experience that you may not ever have had before. Micah, what did you want to add?
Well, that was actually kind of what I was going to say. More or less word for word, where I wanted to see whether I was interested in architecture, because I wasn't quite sure, and I had been thinking about it for a while. And I was able to have the internship, and I realized, it was a fun experience. I don't think I want to pursue this as a career, though.
Yeah.
So I think it was a very useful experience as well. It's fun.
Great. Is there anything else that you feel like Montessori has offered you in terms of preparation for life after school, after high school, or any other things that, you've hit on some really big ones, so it's not like we've left a bunch out, but anything else that you want to share before we go to the next question? Okay. No? Okay. Next question then. This one, I don't know if anyone has ever asked you this question or ever sort of talked about what the answer might be. So you may have to, I hope you looked at it before we started today and have thought about it a little bit. I want to know what you think are the core values of Montessori education. What are the things that are most important in a Montessori education? The core values, your teachers, your instructors, your people who work with you at the school every day have certain values that they hold in terms of education that's brought them to Montessori, that's made them say, I want to be a Montessori teacher because this. Okay. What I want to know from you guys is, what do you think those values are? Why would somebody become a Montessori teacher anyway? And why would someone really get a lot out of a Montessori education? So anybody can start us off. Daniel, we'll start with you this time.
I think one of the core values that I see in a lot of our teachers and students is that well, in our teachers, I see a lot of them are kind of lifelong learners. They're people who are always trying to educate themselves more and figure out, learn more about the things they like and expand their knowledge. And I think that that's something that they try and kind of pass on to most students. And I feel like most Montessori students kind of throughout their education end up getting a little more and more of that until they end up being, really lifelong learners. A lot of Montessori students end up being interested in just a whole range of subjects, and they just love learning.
Absolutely. That's a good one to start with. Can somebody add another one? Tree.
I feel like one of the core thing, at least for me, is like the one-on-one and like like I don't know if this is the right term, but like sort of like problem solving.
Mm-hmm.
So like an example, like I always like to think of this, like for math, for example, right? One of our teacher, I mean, some people don't like this. I mean, I personally do, where he doesn't really give you the answer. He sort of leads you towards the answer.
Yeah.
And I think that sort of gets you to understand why certain things are this way or certain things are that way. Blah, 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 blah. But I think that's really useful. I think that really helps certain people like myself to understand the fundamentals of certain subjects.
Absolutely. That's another very good point, and it definitely is of value in Montessori. We in Montessori, as teachers and administrators and so forth, really want students to be thinkers. And if we give you all the right answers, then you don't need to think. But if we ask you the right questions and sort of, as Tree said, lead you sort of to the answers, then there's a whole different process going on for you as students. And that is a core value of Montessori, definitely. Thank you. Martin.
Yeah, I would like to say that the core values is also that the teachers wants to make the classes differently than in public school. In Montessori, they want to make a enjoyable for the students, so they are changing the things to students. For example, in English, we start independent reading 30 minutes, then we move on Google assignments, and then we have something else. So they want to make it enjoyable, and they want to change the things in the classes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And again, that's another thing. We understand that when people, students, adults, little kids, when they're having fun and when they're enjoying and interested in what's going on, they're going to learn more. When they're fearful, when they feel threatened, when they are under a lot of pressure, they tend to not learn as much. They don't reach their full potential as easily because they're worried about protecting themselves emotionally. So that's an important piece. Yeah, Nick.
To keep going with what Martin said, the teachers really try to create their own environments or communities with each class, as well as a whole for the school.
Yeah, absolutely. So each class is almost unique in a way, right, Nick? That's what you're kind of saying? Because each teacher has their personality, their style, and their vision of what a community is. So that's a great thing. Okay, let's see. Oh, I see Micah.
And what Nick was saying kind of reminded me of this. So I think that in a way, I think two really, really big kind of ideas are the ideas of both like individuality and community. It's like, being able to think for yourself, but also working in a community, and like how you both balance that, like how you become your own thinker, but also it is a small school, and you have to be part of the community as well. That's also a thing. It's not just you get to be, you also like you have to be. There's only so many kids, and so working in order to work with them, you really have to be active and attentive. And so work those two ideas.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, Ren.
Something for me is I find that a lot of Montessori teachers value a more well-rounded education that doesn't just focus on the more academic subjects. I know in a lot of my past schools, art or like photography and those types of classes were electives, and they were not valued as high as the sciences and stuff like that. But in Montessori education, I found that art is supported just as much as the other classes, which is really helpful for me because that's what I love to do.
Nice, nice. Okay. Anybody else want to add anything? Colin, you haven't talked for a while. Want to add something?
One thing that I would consider a core principle would be just learning environment, kind of like what Martin said and Nick said. I think where the student learns is very important for their engagement and development. If you just put them in a room with a bunch of students and a teacher pointing at a whiteboard, it's going to be very unengaging. Whereas, you can be in a classroom talking about the current politics of the day, or you can be doing science experiments. I think that Montessori definitely allows variety that allows people to engage more, and inherently by engaging more, learn more.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Coy, I'm going to pick on you. You've been around Newgate and Montessori for, I think, the longest of anybody here today. And so will you share what you think is a Montessori core value?
Yeah, so I've been here for almost 16 years, and I really enjoyed like all of the freedom that we're given, no matter the class, no matter, whatever. You always have the freedom to, sit wherever you want. You don't necessarily have like set work to do at certain times or specific projects to do at certain times. If you have multiple assignments in one class, you're kind of free to do them in any order that you want. And you're not limited to one specific thing. So I just really love how open and how much freedom that you're always given in any situation, in any cycle.
Okay, that's terrific, and I love that, because that is a true part of Montessori. But also, we always say in Montessori we give our students freedom within limits. So talk to us about, anybody who wants to, not just Coy, but Coy, if you want to talk about this, what is your take on freedom within limits? What does that mean? You've described freedom really well. What are the limits like in Montessori? Are there limits?
Yes, there definitely can be limits. If you're messing around or not getting your work done, then yes, your teacher or your guide can step in and sit you down in a specific spot and say, this is what you have to do. But again, if you are responsible and you're accountable and you get what needs to be done, then you can have that freedom to sit where you want and do all that.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else want to jump in there for limits and talk about what your experience in Montessori has been in terms of accountability, if you want to call it that, or limits, if you want to call it that? Jackson?
Well, I guess something I really like is there's a lot of like freedom with how you can complete an assignment, or like what you can do to sort of show your knowledge of something, which I really like. And also, like, we have classes, at least before COVID, we had a class it was microeconomy, where we sort of got to figure out and like make our own project, or product, and try to sell it on Etsy, which I thought was really fun. And you could get really creative and think outside of the box for what products you wanted to sell. And yeah, I really enjoyed that.
That's great. Okay, anybody else? All right, we're going on to the next one. How would you describe your relationship with your teachers and other staff members in a Montessori school? What is that student-teacher relationship like? Man, oh.
The teachers here are phenomenal. And not only are they good at their jobs, but they care about you. They want to see you pass. They want to see you do well. They want to see you get in the colleges that you're applying to. There's like an emotional investment in a way. And it feels so great to go in there and tell your teachers, oh yeah, I got into here, and hear them congratulate you. A lot of our teachers, they don't teach as a job, right? They teach because they love teaching.
Yeah.
We've had teachers who are, CEOs of their own businesses.
Right.
There are a lot of teachers there who don't have to teach. They can retire if they want. They're perfectly fine. So that level of personal involvement and care is something you really don't see anywhere else, and it is phenomenal.
Thank you. What an endorsement. Wow. All right. That is definitely a huge piece of hopefully the relationship between students and teachers in a Montessori school. Relationship is probably one of the most important things, and it is the thing that helps most with you all reaching your full potential. Your teachers in Newgate and in Montessori schools around the world want you to succeed at whatever it is you decide you want to do. And so that, and they do, they have an emotional investment in each and every one of you. And it's an amazing thing. All right, somebody else want to say something about your relationship with the teachers, the staff, the administrators at Newgate or at a Montessori school? Yep, Martin.
Like Andres said, it's the teachers are very loving the job. They are friendly to students, and the teachers want to that the students can succeed in the future, like in college, in the jobs. So the teachers are very very focusing on the students, so they can have successful in the future.
Absolutely, thank you. I'm going to go to Selvi and then Micah, okay? Selvi?
Yeah, my experience at Newgate has been revolved around my connections with my teachers primarily. They have really all the teachers at Newgate, they really want to know who you are and, you know, your traits, what do you like to do and everything of that sort. And they're extremely supportive throughout your whole journey throughout in Newgate. And, you know, I saw that through my college experience, you know, with recommendation letters. They would write wonderful letters really based on your traits, and you can tell how personalized it is, and that's something you can only get here at Newgate in any Montessori education.
Thank you. Micah?
I think Colin had his hand raised before
Did
me.
you, Colin? I'm sorry. Shall we go to Colin then? Thanks.
Say that my experience with teachers has been very unorthodox compared to many other schools. You know, I've grown up in a military family, so like the first words that came out of my mouth were "yes, sir." It's always been, you call your teachers Mr. or Mrs. And I think it's important to note that Andres didn't say Mr. Allen, he said Jeff Allen. The teachers, you know, they try to have you call them by their first name, which I think, you know, helps create a better personal connection. Jeff, I would have to agree with Andres that I think Jeff is probably one of the best teachers I've ever had. And I think I can see him more as a friend. I've known him for all 4 years of my high school education. And he knows me and I know him, and it's very easy to start up a conversation. You know, for instance, on Wednesdays, we're in our global politics class, and then Thursdays we're walking to Starbucks talking about cars and like what we're interested in. So I think the teachers, they make it very personal, which allows for a better connection with the student. And I found this with almost every teacher, I'd have to say.
That's terrific. Thank you. Now, Micah?
Right. So, I mean, for me, I think that's like everyone's saying, it's with, you kind of have like almost like a friendship with your teachers, which is, you know, really different from public schools or private schools or most other private schools. But also it's not just a friendship, right? You're not just like, oh, you're not just friends with them, because, you know, they are your guides, like they are like your teachers. And so there is also like a certain level of respect. It's like, you know, I like the things that they do is like, wow, it's like I see them as role models, not just as friends, not just as teachers. Like they really are like great role models. And, you know, there's more that you learn from them than just global politics or just math. Like you're learning like, you know, like personal life skills from them as well, which I think is really important, like a thing to learn from a teacher. And you get that from all of them.
Good point. Thank you. Anybody else before we move on? We're heading to the end of the questions, by the way, just to let you know, we're almost there. I wanted to know from you folks, what has it been like to be in classes with younger students than you, and then also probably for part of your time, older students than you? What has that mix of ages and levels, what kind of an experience has that been for all of you? Anybody want to start us off? I'm going to say maybe Nick. I'm going to see what Nick has to say about this.
I really haven't noticed too much of a difference between like our later years in 11th and 12th grade. There was more of a, because we're in two different classes, some of us are seniors getting ready to leave. So our work is a bit different between the 11th and 12th graders, but it's definitely more noticeable between in like 7th and 8th and 9th and 10th, where you can actually get to know these younger or older students and work with them on projects or other stuff of that nature. And you build that friendship there. And then when you're older and you don't really have as many interactions with them, you still can spark up a conversation because you still know them from your previous encounters.
Okay, thank you, Nick. I'm going to say Jackson and then Tree.
So something that I've really loved about Montessori is that I like distinctly remember, like when I was younger, I would sort of see all of the older kids, the seniors, the juniors, all of the kids that were way older than me, and I really, really looked up to them, and they would talk to me. You know, they would have start conversations with me. They would always be like really nice, and I always liked that. And then now it's really cool seeing like now I'm in that position, and I get to do all that, and it's really cool knowing that all of these like younger kids who I know I was in their position, they look up to me now, which is, it's really cool and almost surreal, I guess.
I like that. Okay, I think we said then Tree.
I mean, maybe like it's just a circumstance which I find myself in, like being like I didn't really experience Montessori like during middle school and things, but for me personally, I didn't feel that much with that integration between lower and upperclassmen. I feel that, I mean, it was fun, but like I didn't feel that much of an effect from it personally.
Okay, thank you. And then Martin.
When I was younger, I always was going to the senior or older people, ask them a questions what the futures are, and they always help me with some stuff. So I really appreciate it. Now I'm senior. I think I'm younger than senior. So it's difficult and challengeable, but I have to stick like a senior model and act to younger students and give them some good advice to the future.
Absolutely, absolutely. You know, that's another thing that parents sometimes worry a little bit about, is having younger students in close proximity to older kids. Somehow they think that the older kids will be inappropriate or say inappropriate things or do inappropriate things for the younger children. What do you all think about that? What do you think about having, you know, I mean, quite a bit younger children, elementary age or even little people, really little people around you older kids? What do you think that does for them? What do you think that does for you, if anything? I'm going to say Micah.
I mean, personally, for me, it's really helped me a lot, honestly. You know, when being around younger children, you know, I realize, all right, I'm around younger kids. I have to be the role model now.
Mm.
You know, it's been a really weird process, like, you know, becoming more of an adult. And I think the fact that I'm around younger kids really, it's been helpful for me to realize, all right, now that I'm, you know, I mean, legally I'm an adult now, so I have to in some ways I really need to start thinking like an adult. And so being around some of the younger kids, especially as a senior, it's really made me think, all right, I need to, start acting in a certain way, and I need to start helping them as well, and like, help them learn. So I'm now like, becoming in a way a teacher as well. And I've also noticed that when I was younger as well, like, when you're when you're the age above and you're interacting with these younger kids, you do have the responsibility to be a role model and to help the teachers. And so in that way, you're also growing. You're not just helping the younger kids,
Right.
you're also yourself, learning and becoming a better student and a better person.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And if any of you have had the experience of actually teaching a younger child some either skill or a lesson of some sort, you actually gain from that. Parents go, oh, but if my child's spending all their time teaching little children, how will they learn what they need to know? When you teach somebody else a skill, you learn it better yourself, because it's a different thing when you teach somebody something than when you learn it. And so that's an important piece as well. And Mike, I think you touched on that in a way. Ren, do you want to add anything to this particular one?
In my personal experience, I haven't had too many interactions with younger kids because I've
Mm.
only been here for 11th and 12th grade. So the third cycle is usually people around my age group.
Okay, thank you. And so some of you that have been here for a long time or been in Montessori for a long time, Daniel, I think of you, Coy, Nick, Jackson. Have you had that experience of ever teaching a child, a younger child, something, and how did that make you feel, and what was that experience like? Jackson.
Yeah, so every once in a while I'll help Haley, the middle school math teacher, teach math. And it's a really like cool experience to be able to sort of help them out and like even like see them struggling on similar problems that you remember struggling on when you were their age. It's like, it's a really fun experience. And it's sort of, for me, it helped me sort of, I guess, learn some of that stuff more in depth, because, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Great. Any of the others, Daniel, Coy, Nick? Okay, we're going to go on. We have 2 questions left. These are the ones I added, by the way, so you didn't get to look at these. One is, I'd like you to tell us, or share with us, if you wish to, where are you going after Newgate? What are your plans for like the next year or 2 in your lives? And then the second one, and you can do these 2 together if you'd like, so we don't have to do 2 separate ones. The second one is, what are your final words to parents on Montessori education? So where are you going over the next few years? And what would you, if you could say anything to a parent about Montessori education, what do you think is the most important thing for them to know or to hear from you as a Montessori student? So, Martin, he loves to start us off. Good for you. All right, Martin, go ahead.
So I'm going after Newgate Montessori to St. Pete on college SPC, and my major is gonna be mass communication. It's gonna be a bachelor degree, so I'm really into it. I want to be in the future like sport commentator because I love sports. I do rowing like a sport, and I have doing multiple sports in my career. I do golf, tennis, water polo, sometimes hockey. So I've been doing these sports along, so I love sports. And I would like to say to my family, thank you that they give me to Montessori because it changed my life. and I really enjoy it. And the school give me more freedom, and it's a very good school. So thank you.
Thank you, Martin. Okay, who's next? I'm going to hit each of you, so you can either volunteer or I'll just choose volunteers. Colin.
I'm going to be studying business at Florida Southern College. And I would say to families looking at Montessori school, it is very unique and will give your child a very unique experience. And I would definitely recommend it if your child is a lot more shy or not as outgoing as other children like I used to be, because it really helps with that development, I'd say.
Thank you, Colin. Somebody else? Yeah, Nick.
So my plans for after Newgate will be to expand upon my business further, build up a resume, and try to apply to different prop industries or companies with my knowledge. And for any Montessori or parents wanting to go into Montessori, I would say that the creativity of their child will be broadened by either knowledge or the different projects or presentations that they'll be influenced by and be able to put their own creative efforts in.
Thank you. Thanks, Nick. Somebody else? Tree.
I'm going to Wisconsin-Madison after this for psychology. And one thing I would tell parents is that I think it makes you a much more rounded person. And not only will that assist you in real life, but it also helps you in the college application process, which is pretty nice.
Thank you. Somebody else? I'm looking. Oh, okay, Coy.
So after Newgate, I will be going to the College of the Florida Keys to study marine resource management. And a message is probably that, like Colin said, that it's a very unique experience that you can only get from Montessori schools. And it's a great place to build lifelong friendships and learn skills that you wouldn't learn elsewhere.
Thanks, Coy. Ren.
I will be studying at Savannah College of Art and Design. And a final word from me is Montessori education gives an opportunity for students to be able to focus on their own interests within their education as a whole.
Thank you. That's well put. Who else? Let's go to Daniel. Let's go to you.
So after Newgate, I'm going to be going into industrial and systems engineering at Penn State. And one final message that I have is because the Montessori system is very unique and different, it's very easy for parents to kind of fear it a little and be doubtful about what it may result in. But I think what everyone has said here and what we've seen throughout the years, it creates very unique individuals who are lifelong learners and very well-rounded and global citizens.
Absolutely. Thank you, Daniel. Who have I missed? Oh, Selby, I haven't heard from you.
After Newgate, I will be attending NYU and I'm going to be majoring in business and economics. My final message for this meeting would be just to, Montessori education has incited so much growth within me and many skills that will help my future. And if you're considering Montessori, you should definitely go through with it.
Thank you. Thank you. Micah, have you had a turn?
So I will be I'll be going to UCF and for aerospace engineering. My message. Well, I mean, there's so many things that I guess I could say, but I mean, in general, I agree with what Daniel says, where it's, really with what everyone's saying. I think everyone's really kind of hitting it on the nose, where, where it is a big, or I guess something I can add specifically is, it is a big choice. It is a big decision, and it's a big change, moving someone from from non-Montessori to Montessori. So I would tell parents it is a big change, and that is something to keep in mind. However, I really do think that I think that Montessori is great. I think that it creates an independent person, someone that is proactive in their learning and in their life and in their social interactions. And so just in so many ways, like it will benefit your child, and it will allow them to grow up to be a more what's the word, a more I can't think of the right words to put in there, but so someone that's able to interact with society a lot better than I think otherwise they would be able to.
Thank you, Micah. Who do I have? Colin, have you said where you're going? Yes. So I have Andres. All right, I guess you're closing it out for us today.
So I'm going to the Gabelli School of Business at Fordham University Lincoln Center for the honors program in global finance and business economics with a minor in alternative investments. And
a lot.
I think to close it out, I could say this. So the Montessori program differentiates your child by leaps and bounds. And that is very helpful in the college admissions world, as well as that's also a great conversation starter I found. Your child will be taken care of socially completely. There will be no social problems. They will have great lifelong friends. And I can at least attest to the academic rigor of Newgate that they will certainly be prime candidates and be well prepared for their life in college.
That's great. This has been a wonderful morning. Thank you so much for taking your time. I know you've got things that are things to do, people to see, places to go, exams to take. Are you done with your exams? Oh, never mind. No exams to take. But I really do appreciate you taking time and talking with me so candidly this morning. I know that the parents that are out there have enjoyed this and will glean a lot of great information from you as they think and reflect on the time that we've spent together. So thanks a lot, everyone out there who is watching. Thank all of you Newgate students. I unfortunately won't be able to come to your graduation. It looks like a beautiful venue. I know it'll be a great event, and I congratulate all of you.